Liberty's first FBS conference win. Take us back a little bit of the New Mexico State game, and we'll preview Buffalo.
Well, I thought our team, handled the second half extremely well. We came out of the locker room and dominated the second half. Obviously, didn't like how we started from a defensive standpoint, but we were pleased with the victory after watching it. There were some really good things we did. We struggled with some penalties, hurt us, kept us from probably making the game a little bit wider margin. But pleased with the effort, pleased with the focus, and now as we've had the luxury of staying at home, now we're going on the road for the first time, and first time for us, and first time us knowing how our guys are on the road. So there's a lot of new things there we have to deal with, and so. But it was good to be 1-0 in the conference, and now we got to go try to be 1-0 again.
Thinking of the conversations there at halftime, you guys come out in the second half and just totally commit to the run, that 9-minute drive. What were those kind of conversations like? Did you see something that you thought you could kind of exploit in the run game?
Well, we thought in the first half we had a good mix and a good balance, and we thought with not that we had to make any adjustments, but how they were trying to play us, they were trying to limit certain things, and so once we identified that, we made the plan there in the second half. All right, this is how we're going to attack this and see how they want to see if they'll adjust, and they did, and that allowed us to, I think, run it consistently, and we stuck to it. We weren't. It wasn't like, hey, we're just going to run it down their throats, but our plan was, if they're going to keep doing this, let's do this and see if there's an adjustment. Our guys handled it well. I think we overcame on that drive some penalties as well, so that really set the tone. I think that allowed our defense to settle in as well, because we were sort of up and down there on defense, and we got the turnover right before halftime, and we were able to get some points. And so the next time our defense came on the field, we were up 13 points, I think, and most of the third quarter was gone. So that drive was a huge deal, and it wasn't like we were yelling at them or anything in the locker room. It was just, hey, these are things that let's change this up, let's fix this, and our guys went out and executed that, which was good to see.
I believe you're tied for 6th in the country in rushing offense right now, and it's obviously early, and I think you probably would have thought that might have been a strength of your team going into the season. But have you been at all surprised or anything with the way that your rushing attack has been so successful so early?
Not surprised, because we've tried to commit a lot to that. We want to try to be as balanced as we can as well. Now, balanced doesn't mean you always 50-50, but you want to be able to do both. And I think I didn't know that statistic, which is great. But I think what you saw us do in the second game was more like what we want to be. I think in the first game it was me probably playing a little cautious and wanting to fill out who we have and how they respond. And then there in the second game, we started opening up more so we could be more balanced. But if we can run the ball consistently when everybody knows you need to run it, we can still do that, and that opens up so much more in our passing game, and our guys get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. And so we know that for us to be successful, we have to be able to do that, and our guys know that. So I think our offensive line is taking some pride knowing, hey, we want to try to rush the football for a certain amount of yards, and that makes it harder each week because everybody tries to stop it. So that's why the passing game has to be so important. But it was good that I think what I'm more pleased with, it was good to have. I don't know the exact statistics, but it felt way more balanced, obviously, because in the first game we were very unaggressive, let's say, in the first game.
To that point, fewer carries for Caden, and you still had a dominant rushing attack, and he stood in the pocket a lot and looked like delivered the football. Pleased with the progress there as well?
Yeah, I thought he did a nice job. We had there on the first drive we had a bad call. We thought we were going to get something. They did something else, and then he made a mistake on top of our mistake, which is what we told him to do. We're going to make some, just don't make another one. But I think he responded to that tremendously well. We obviously didn't want him to run as much as he did the first game, and so we tried to limit that. And the thing where he is really good in the short amount of time is if he can get out of that pocket, he can make something happen when the pocket breaks down. But he stood in there and made some nice throws this week as well. I thought he was in command. He never looked like he was out of control or anything of that nature. I was really pleased with that. Now the challenge is, as people try to do different things to him, he's got to continue to learn and grow and get better there. But pleased with how he played and how productive he was, and he put the ball and he spread it around really well.
Aaron Bedgood's a guy that joined you this summer, and you and your coaching staff's been familiar with him for quite a while now, going back to Coastal. How much of a maybe security blanket has he been during the early part of the season and training camp? A guy that knows your offense, knows your system, knows you and your coaches.
It's been huge. We picked him up obviously after the two injuries we had there in the summer, and to be able to get somebody that exactly knows your offense and knows what to do, and then we know what he's capable of, and he's played well the first 2 weeks. And it's not something that's new for him. He's been in big games, and the thing that makes it work is he's very humble. He's very unassuming, but he is a really good player. You're seeing that in special teams. He's doing a great job from a return standpoint, and then obviously he's making plays in our pass game. And he probably would have had a huge play in the run game, but he dropped it. I'm gonna tell him that too. He dropped the pitch and could have been a touchdown. And so, but he's played well, and he's capable of that. He's played well for us at previous places, and we're thankful we have him here. And he's been a great addition because he didn't bring an attitude. He just brought a humble work ethic, which was a good mix for what we needed.
Going to Buffalo, it's a team that you've experienced against from your time at Coastal. What do you remember about those games, and just what makes this a challenging team to go up against?
Well, one, they're very tough-minded, so they're a physical team on both sides of the ball. Their coaches that way. They do a lot of different things to try to confuse you, and so they're not going to be intimidated. Two, no matter what their record is, they're going to play hard. Last year they started 0-3 and then won 6 out of 7 or 7 out of 8, whatever it was, and maybe won a bowl game. And so he knows how to get the ship right. And so and we've shared our team. And so one, it's hard going on the road, and two, they're the most talented team we played regardless of their record. They have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. They're bowl champions, so they understand what it takes to be in a conference. And so this is a big challenge for us. And if we're not ready to go, they'll smack us in the face and beat us. And we've learned that firsthand. And so we have to do a good job of preparing and playing well because they have good players on both sides of the ball. And if you look at the Wisconsin game, they played them really well for 3 whole quarters, and they got away there in the fourth. And then last week they just had some unfortunate penalties at some bad times that really allowed the other team to win, or they would have won that game. And so we got to be ready to go.
It seems like the first 2 opponents you guys have faced have, really focused on the run game, on their offense. But Buffalo seems to be the opposite, a little bit more of a passing attack. Does that present some challenges to your defense that maybe you haven't seen the first 2 weeks?
Well, I think because we've not handled the rush as well as we'd like, we're probably going to see more rushing attempts. Right now we have 7 interceptions. And so from a pass standpoint, when the ball's in there, if we get a chance to get the hands on it, we're doing pretty well with that. And so, but we've struggled consistently to I will say they're rushing up down the field, but to just consistently, stop it when we need to. And so I think what we anticipate more is maybe they're going to be a little bit more balanced because they do have big players up front and they can do that. Now their quarterback's good and they've got a good system. And so we obviously have to be ready for that. But until we can prove that we can consistently stop the run, we're going to see more of that.
Their quarterbacks completed about 70% coming in, 5 touchdowns, no picks. That said, what kind of concerns you about their offense and what makes it go?
Well, he's really good at executing, and what I mean by that, they get the ball out quick. He makes good decisions, and they have a really good scheme of what they do, and so he knows where to go with it. He's an experienced guy, and they show you a bunch of different things, different formations to try to make you think, and motions and different stuff, and he knows how to use those motions and knows where to go with the ball. And so what we're going to have to do a great job of is, like last week, we had some coverage mistakes and it cost us. Versus a guy like him, who's probably arguably the best quarterback that we've seen. We can't make those, or he'll really hurt us. And so we're going to have to do a really good job of recognizing formations and making sure we put ourselves in positions not to have miss assignments and some of those because they've got players that can beat you when you do that.
Looked like Nick Brown got a couple opportunities at PAT on Saturday. Is that something you anticipate going forward with, that plan, him and also Teagan kicking the field goals?
I think it's really probably an open competition. Tegan's done a nice job, but we'll just see what happens through this week and stuff. You know, the biggest thing that we've had is we've had three kicks blocked. You know, 3 kicks blocked, 1 went in, and then 2 other ones blocked. And so we probably lead the country in that. That's a statistic you don't want to lead the country in. And so we've got to do a better job blocking. We've got to do a better job getting the ball in the air so that doesn't happen. And so we'll sort of see how it goes from there.
Coach, are you a fan of flashy quarterbacks? Like obviously you want Caden to be confident, but do you like that extra swag that he brings?
No, I like swag. You know, is it my personal style? I'm not saying that's my personal style. Y'all seen how I dress, but I want a guy to be confident. More importantly, I just want him to be himself. You know, but I also you want to make sure you always respect the game and respect your opponents. You know, I think that's the thing that you want your team to do is always respect this game, always respect your opponents. Something you can't be yourself, but I don't want anybody to ever try to show up anybody or anything of that nature. I don't believe in those things. But yeah, I want him to be who he is, his personality, and I want him to project the confidence he has in himself.
Coach,
Time for one more.
you mentioned you can't pay attention to their record. Talking about Buffalo, they just lost at home to an FCS school. It sounds like that you've got some ways to kind of get their attention, though, talking about what they do well, and then also, too, just going on the road. Does that kind of get your team to lock in and not potentially look past somebody, too?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's first time with them. You know, and so I don't know what the history was of certain things, but you know, each week what we talk about with our guys is that we're not playing Buffalo. We're playing Liberty. You know, we're playing our mindset. We're playing what our preparation is. And last week we didn't have the best week of practice on certain days, and it showed up in the game. You know, and so we point back to that, saying, "Hey, we practiced like this on Tuesday, and this Wednesday was like this, and this is why we came out of the gate like this." And so for us, yes, we know they're really good. We know they can beat us, but our focus more has been on like, hey, what do we have to do to play our best on Saturday, regardless of what we're playing? You know, there's FCS schools are just as good as FBS schools. That shows around the country. And so I don't take them getting beat by them as they're not as good. They're a good team and just went that way. And so our guys have to more about what we need to do to prepare to play our best whoever we're playing. You know, and hopefully being on the road, I enjoy going on the road because it's only you and you. You know, there's maybe not as many fans, et cetera. You got everybody against you, and so hopefully it brings you closer together, and you know you're going in to do something that nobody expects you can do on the road. I think in a tough environment. So hopefully that does bring us, you know, and allows us to lock in more. But this will be the first time on the road with our staff, you know, and all that, and so the players will be learning that. We've had a lot of new ones, and so this will be hopefully the last of them knowing how we handle road games and all those things.
All right, Coach. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.